Hey there, Warriors of Light, coming to you with another quick hit session, something brand new I'm rolling out. It's essentially a set of classroom sessions. These videos are intended to be short and sweet with questions and topics that I think are either intriguing that you don't hear about very often on the subreddit or the Discord. And there's things that I just want to highlight potentially, not because you need to know them, but because it essentially, I think, rounds out some basic game knowledge. So the first one that I'm going to be doing here is Ildyra versus Leela, and it's about a discourse and the differences in what they do well. Long story short, why you would use one over the other, because I think they both do a lot of very similar things, obviously, with the arithmetician main job, and we don't get to see Ildyra used very often, to be honest, and this came up in our guild as a question as to why, and we're going to answer that. So jumping right into it, comparative stat look. So this was the first thing that I dug down into, where if you're looking here between Leela and Ildyra, across the first few categories here, they're fairly identical. Um, Ildyra has the accuracy benefit here with a much higher dexterity, but Leela has the advantage in a much higher agility stat. Don't underrate this 4 extra agility, and a much higher luck stat. So some trade-offs in terms of the dexterity and the luck. And then resistance-wise, I would say they're basically equal. They're essentially weak to all kinds of physical attacks. 10%, for the most part, they have these differing 5 percentages in missile and slash, but they're both strong 20% to magic. The real key difference to them, it's in their passives and subjobs, and essentially that determines what comps you're going to use them against and where they truly shine. So side by look just generally at their classes, they're both the arithmetician main job, and it genuinely comes down to the sub-jobs, where Leela is white mage and ninja, Ildyra is spellblade and black mage. As you see here, Leela is more sustain oriented and Ildyra is definitely more offensively oriented. The key difference, Ildyra is much stronger against magic teams. That's genuinely where the key difference tends to be. Leela offers more in the way of healing and support for her team through the white mage sub job, whereas Ildyra, with her passive, we're going to get to that in a second here, can potentially have a much higher magic stat and is more of an offensive powerhouse and has stronger resistances against magic teams. So I have this phrase here: why does Leela prefer physical teams? I wouldn't say she prefers it. First bullet, technically she'd be fine against magic. Ildyra was just built to play against it better. But a nice competitive advantage, her agility keeps her in competitive turn rotation with how fast the physical DPS are overall. Magic units don't tend to be incredibly speedy, and the espers you would normally give magic users aren't on the upper echelon of speed as well, where typically you're giving them, Dibolos or Ramu, or I guess Shiva's fairly fast. She's up there. But her agility definitely keeps her in the rotation against those faster DPS. And namely, her ability to protect is valuable in tipping the scales. I know a lot of people turn it off because she tends to use it too often, but it's still there. It's something that she has in her kit that Ildyra does not have. And then why does Ildyra prefer magic teams? She's got a passive that helps build magic resistance, first of all, so that Providence of Fate increases magic resistance by 12%. And then if you're using her Spellblade job, she has an ability that resists magic, which increases magic resistance by 38% for her and her allies as well. So together, for herself, she can boost her magic resistance by 50% on top of already having a 20% innate magic resistance. So you're talking a total of 70% magic resistance, not including anything else you might have on for vision cards or for espers. And the ability that if you're going against magic teams, she can also boost her allies' magic resistance. Theoretically, Leela can do that through Shell as well, but you can see the immediate synergy here for Ildyra in particular. So why is Leela more sustained? Purely for the white mage sub-job, as we mentioned. In the arithmetician class, both Ildyra and Leela can heal. They both have that height cure ability. But where white mage really shines is number one, full life, which is honestly pretty critical. It's the key difference between the two of them. The other ones, the protect, shell, Asuna rays, are nice. They're obviously a little niche in how you need your AI to use them, and depending on what you're going against. But that full life ability, don't underrate it. It's genuinely a game changer in many battles. Where if your tank gets a little overwhelmed, all of a sudden, boop, full life, and you're all set, ready to go. So that's a fairly key advantage to Leela. Why is Ildyra more offensively? Despite, as we mentioned, despite the same magic stat in their base, essentially, the magic up level 1 support ability that she has boosts her magic by 30%. Leela does not have any magic boosting passives. So Ildyra has the potential to jack up her magic stat a heck of a lot more. And then the Winter Holiday Party card that came out recently. The reason for this card coming out, in my opinion, was genuinely to kind of tip the scales toward Ildyra, where I think the developers kind of saw the sustain as a more competitive advantage in many instances. I can't believe I have a terrible spelling mistake here. The Winter Holiday Party card. Long story short, this gives Ildyra a ton of HP. 304 is a massive amount of HP on a vision card. Her magic stat, too. This is an incredible amount of magic. The dexterity of 42. We already know she's got a gluttonous amount of dexterity. This essentially makes her just even more accurate. It makes it so that any kind of evasion that comes her way, she can still tackle it pretty well. The card is specifically geared to her, where it increases magic by 10% if you're an arithmetician or one of the mage classes. It increases her water attack by 20, so this is unique to her. And the party effect increases area resistance of 20, so super valuable where a lot of magic users tend to go AoE style, whether you're going against other arithmeticians, whether you're going against Kilf or some of her AoE staff mage abilities, and obviously still effective against physical users as well, where there's definitely some physical AoEs. But the problem essentially with that is physical users or physical damage dealers need to build up their AP over a couple of turns to really get access to those AoE attacks, whereas mages innately have a ton of AP to start the battle, so they're going to blow out a lot of those area attacks quicker, if that makes sense. So that party effect genuinely helps against other magic users. And then finally, this ability that comes on the card. From what I understand, she uses ability rather sparingly, to be honest. So it's not a strong selling point of the card. That being said, it's still an incredible attack. It is still a potent attack with the damage at 165%. If the target is a height of multiple of 3, it increases the modifier by 60%, which is a really, really strong attack overall. And then it has attack and magic breaks, which is awesome. And then immobilize. Not necessarily the strongest ability against magic users because they do have so many ranged attacks. But hey, every status effect helps, and because you are going against magic teams, they're going to have high faith, which means they are going to be susceptible to status ailments. So yeah, this card in particular, obviously, Leela can use it as well. She just loses the water attack buff, so it's strong for Leela as well. Don't get me wrong, but you can tell it's obviously geared to really make Ildyra way more of a potent punch than she already is. So, overall conclusion, they both do their arithmetician jobs well. Genuinely matter of what comp you're trying to fight against. It's one of the reasons why you don't see Ildyra as commonly recently, is because magic teams just aren't in the forefront of things, where you're seeing, obviously, the Kane meta come in, and we're seeing a lot of darkness-oriented classes, some gunner comps with the new vision cards released. So, yeah, you don't see a lot of magic teams, so you don't see a lot of Ildyra. Second conclusion, she fares better against those magic teams, more of an offensive cannon. And then lastly, Leela provides more general support to her team and can also fit in well with evade comps. Now, evade has kind of gone by the wayside recently, with a lot more characters having guaranteed hits in their kit, as well as a lot of dexterity boosting things with, the Aegeon card with party-wide accuracy boost. Some of the more recent characters have innately high dexterity, like Kane and Cecil. Both have no problem hitting things. So overall, evade is definitely weaker than it's ever been, but still Leela does have that capability where you can throw the Shiva card on her in that evade comp and really make that comp thrive, more so than someone like even Ayaka or Ildyra, who don't innately have that high agility or high luck stat. That's where Leela definitely has an advantage. So hopefully you learned something from this. I really wanted to keep it short and sweet. And yeah, good luck using these characters in your parties, and happy War of the Visions. Good luck pulling.